Sting breaks his face for your entertainment, and yet we have another belt reveal. All this on Wrestling with the Business.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a new episode of Wrestling with the Business. We got a lot going on today. We had a Forbidden Door get opened up this past weekend. It's pretty interesting. We had some fun stuff happening on TV this week. Somebody broke a face, apparently. I don't know. We'll see what that's all about. And Money in the Bank is this weekend. We're talking about that. We're getting our predictions, and it might be a little surprise that comes along with that. So let's start with our weekly TV highlights, as we always do. Jer, what happened on SmackDown last week?
SmackDown, 6:23 from the Cajun Dome, Louisiana. Going down to the Bayou. Michael Cole and Wade Barrett on commentary as usual. Obviously, the big drama, the bloodline, has fractured. Civil war within the bloodline. I think it was Jay that said it to Jimmy. We about to fight our family. Things are getting spicy in there, setting up a big Money in the Bank main event. Reigns, Sikoa versus the Usos. Really odd piece of story from it. They had a vignette where Solo Sikoa spiked Ridge Holland for no reason. Like, he was just really mad, and Ridge bumped into him in the hallway. And so then that led Sheamus into a big thing, which set up the main event, Sheamus versus Solo Sikoa main event. So that was our main event. The highly anticipated women's tag unification match between Rousey and Baszler and Fire Isla. Raquel Rodriguez was brought ringside with no explanation, not on commentary. She was literally just sitting there in a chair, and it made me think that's kind of sexist. You always have the man sit with them if there's some kind of a story or plot line or something. You would at least say the previous, women's tag champion that had to vacate it so that, here we are today. You would think, and she would be able to commentate. Nope, none of that. Didn't do any of that stuff. They just had her awkwardly sitting next to the ring.
She's not taking part in any of the lawsuits, is she?
No, not that I'm aware of. Right. No, I don't think so. Long story short, Rousey and Baszler go over. The titles become unified. So basically, the NXT women's titles. I mean, if the track record is any indication on title unifications, it would appear that perhaps we're going to see the NXT title go away and have it unified. They haven't done it with the men's tags yet, but they did do it with Reigns.
I think they're just doing it with the women because the women's tag division, if you can call it that, is so shallow.
Yeah. So it was a double submission tap out. Raquel on her way out basically gets called out by Rousey, again, for really no reason. And Raquel requests a rematch. Liv Morgan appears out of nowhere. Oh my gosh, she's back. Shoulder must be healed up. And that sets up a match for Money in the Bank this Saturday. What do I want to talk about? Pretty Deadly. We're on the Grayson Waller effect. Street Profits came out, which led to a setup for Pretty Deadly versus ZKO for the unified tag titles. So let's see. We got an old NXT team on the women's side losing a title unification. Maybe we have the men winning it.
You think they're going to beat ZKO?
Well, I did predict that ZKO would no longer be holding the titles by September. And if you don't want ZKO to look weak, you would give the titles to a heel that gets it through cheating, and then you'd have those heels, Pretty Deadly, lose it to another heel faction, perhaps, on their way to India. On their way to India. Anyways, Charlotte Flair took on Lacey Evans. Who's the damn heel? I don't know. Evans goes down. Asuka comes out to beat down Charlotte. and which sets up a women's championship match, which will be next week on SmackDown.
Not
so
on
they're
the pay-per-view.
Not doing the pay-per-view. That's going to be in London on SmackDown the night before, tonight. And then the main event, Sheamus versus Solo Sikoa. Lots of no selling late in the match. Made it not very good. The official calls off the match after Solo puts Sheamus through the barricade.
That's typical. That happens all the time.
Presumably it was a count out because they were out for a long time. Anyways, EMTs come out because Sheamus is so darn injured from it. Solo attacks the EMTs. Here come the Usos. It's Super Kick City. They knock Uso out.
Wow.
Tease, Roman Reigns is going to be in SmackDown next week. This was not, not only do I not agree with the plot points, but the wrestling really, I can't even point to one match where the wrestling was particularly good. Honestly, probably Street Profits versus Pretty Deadly was the best executed match of the night. This one's a 1.5 stars. This is probably the worst episode of SmackDown that I've seen in at least the last 3-4 months.
Wow.
So,
Listen,
pull me out of my sadness.
That finish was almost as good as the disqualification in the cage.
Yeah. It was like, at least count them out. It's an easy. You count them out to 10, but that's not what they did. They made it like a ref calling. I guess when you don't want to make Sheamus look super weak, what do you do? But I don't see how a count out does that. So again, it just doesn't make any sense. Very, very dusty finish, no doubt about it. All right, pull me out of this.
All right, here we go. Raw, the go home to Money in the Bank. And playing off your Ronda Rousey, Liv Morgan, we got that match. And it was a squash match. 2 minutes with Ronda Rousey going over.
Wow. Welcome
Yeah,
back, Liv.
welcome. Yep.
Jeez.
Really making her look strong, like the champion she is.
Well, no, it was Raquel Rodriguez that she beat, not Liv.
Oh.
Liv was in the corner.
Yeah, they got to set up, make the champs look strong for the Money in the Bank.
Guys, this was a typical go-home show. 6 matches, 40 minutes of in-ring action, lots of vignettes, lots of build. Really doubling down on pushing the whole Cody Dominic storyline. They opened the show for the 3rd week in a row. Setting up a match with Cody and someone in the bloodline at the end of the match. This time it was Damian Priest. Match of the night. What you would expect from both of them. So you get the big women's Money in the Bank showdown where they all get in the ring and they all run their mouths, and Becky Lynch, ignites a brawl with her standing at the end. Just typical.
They gotta come up with something better for these.
Yeah, typical go by the book build to a pay-per-view. It was an okay.
And they've been
Raw.
doing that for weeks. They did that same
build
up weeks ago during the tournament.
Yeah, it's they're running the playbook for a pay-per-view build-up. It was an okay Raw. The matches were just stupid short.
Like you said, only 40 minutes of in-ring action.
That's a new low.
In a 3-hour show. But listen to this.
40.
Ricochet and Nakamura open it only 10 minutes 50 seconds. For an opener that's a little long, but
That must have been a long match.
But you go to Ronda and Morgan, 2 minutes 20 seconds.
Ronda and Raquel.
Raquel, yes, excuse me. Dominic and Tozawa, 1 minute 50 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
Got to make Dominic look tough for the match.
Yeah. Finn Balor versus Haynes, 9
Balor.
minutes 50 seconds.
Oh wow, that's longer than
Yeah.
I thought it would go.
Gunther Sami Zayn, 12 minutes. And then your main event was 13 minutes 35 seconds. So
Okay, so let me ask you this, because there was a lot of chatter on the internet. Carmelo Hayes coming up and losing.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's holding the NXT Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Good, bad, indifferent.
It makes your champion definitely look weak. It doesn't say that they have any real plans of bringing him up anytime soon.
That's the match
Yeah.
you would have some sort of DQ or count out or something.
Yeah, exactly. If you really wanted to push him and see what he's got, I think, you bring him up and you give him a little something instead of just beat him straight up.
Why not just have Finn cheat? He's in a heel. Yeah, have them do the
I don't
same
think
9 minutes and 50 seconds, but
they're kind of playing towards that Finn's about to dart from the judgment. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a character change.
He
Not like a full turn to babyface, but a character change, to say the least, with him. Maybe a lighter, easier heel. I don't know.
Interesting.
yeah, there was a lot of like, why would you have your NXT champion lose to? Granted, he's a contender, but
That sounds like a Vince decision.
I don't know. Well, that's true because Carmelo isn't one of Vince's boys.
Right. He never cared
So
about NXT.
yeah, if he was, and he obviously wouldn't have done that. But
No Seth Rollins this week. No Seth Rollins match this week. So.
yeah, no Cody. What
Well,
about?
no,
Cody,
yeah,
is it?
Cody was the main event versus Damian Priest.
Oh, right.
It was-
Sorry. Yeah,
it was a good
yeah.
match.
Yeah.
Again, Gunther's getting his big push. Beating Sami Zayn. That's kind of big for him. You can tell where they're pushing and tell where they're kind of testing the waters. Like we spoke last week, Money in the Bank is kind of one of those. Let's see who can put some butts in seats, and then we'll take it from there. Type of pay-per-view. So.
Yeah, they're pushing hard for the international audience.
But
All right.
Who broke his face this week on?
Dynamite.
Yeah, Dynamite.
Dynamite.
So, Adam, tell me, how old is Sting?
I believe
He's 62 years old,
62
and he
years
ate
old.
table like a champ.
He's 64.
64. Well, he's in his 60s. A man in his 60s should not be climbing a 12-foot ladder inside a ring and jumping to the outside of the ring
Unless
onto
you're Sting.
tables.
Unless you're Sting.
He is 64.
You're
64.
He is 64. He was born in 1959.
God bless him.
Yeah.
He's the same age as Weird Al. Fun fact.
Let's see Weird Al jump off a ladder through some tables.
No, but he can put his leg behind his head.
So, yeah, he did a dive onto Sammy. Sammy Guevara was laying on some tables, and he misjudged it. Only went through one table, and his face hit the other one. Some stitches in his lip, cracked a tooth. Still finished the match. Pretty badass for a 64-year-old. That was probably the main highlight of the show. I don't know, what do you guys think?
Oh, making Jericho tap was pretty big.
That was a big deal. Speaking of Jericho, what do you guys think of this Painmaker gimmick? I am not a fan.
I mean, I like Le Champion better.
Yeah, I'd say that's way better.
AEW's got bigger problems than Sting chipping a tooth or getting a couple stitches, though.
After a pretty good to great pay-per-view of Forbidden Door, this was a little lackluster episode. Probably the only other highlight worth noting is Jungle Boy, Jack Perry. Start banging your head on the table. You know you want to.
They opened the Forbidden Door and Jungle Jack Perry got his face melted off. That's the lesson. Tell him what happened.
Well, Jungle Boy came out with some sunglasses and a ponytail, and that makes him a bad guy.
Jacket. He had a leather jacket.
Leather
on,
jacket.
too.
It was a little frayed too. Did you
Yeah, it
see
looked
that?
a little
The
old.
sun-
Yeah, I might have gotten that from the secondhand store. He's a badass.
Yeah. Promo
Listen,
wasn't that good.
Those guys with sunglasses, man, they're such assholes.
So painful. It was so painful.
It was bad. Basically, his whole reason for turning on Hook, spoilers if you didn't watch Forbidden Door, he turned on his...
There you go. Ray-Bans, man. Instant asshole.
Are you a heel now?
Shut up.
That's yes. So his whole reason was for turning on Hook was because Hook was flaunting his FTW championship, which is not a recognized championship in AEW. He was flaunting it in his face when all he wanted was a title of his own. So he decided to turn
Where's
heel.
Dan? Titles for everybody. We'll fix this problem.
Well, that's a whole different It's a whole different ecosystem. It really doesn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
He's just allowed to carry it because AEW is so understanding and they want to spread the good word of wrestling. That's why people carry the Ring of Honor titles, although Ring of Honor is technically on it. But the NWA titles and obviously NJPW, all those guys came out with their titles at Forbidden Door.
So, yeah, those were the main takeaways.
Probably, I mean, can you think of a worse heel turn? It's a very
off the top of my
It's
head.
a very
It was
bad
bad.
heel turn. It was
The promo wasn't very good.
poorly executed. There was no work. He referred to his hot girlfriend as a bitch in his in-ring promo.
Yep.
Whoa.
He swore a couple of times. That was kind of supposed to make him edgy.
That jacket better be laced with Kevlar because he's about to get stabbed.
I mean,
he's lighting the world on fire.
Yeah, I mean, they were booing him, but I don't know why. I don't know why.
Well, he did say he's not going to come out to his original music anymore, so no one's going to be able to sing along with it.
Well, they had to use that for the final countdown. They had to refunnel all that money into Brian. The music they may not be able to get to use now. Let's just note that little fun fact.
We'll get into that later. And but just sticking with Jungle Boy, the turn at Forbidden Door. I mean, we were watching it. I felt like that just was not earned at all. Just came out of nowhere. Like, we knew it was going to happen, but at the same time, it's just like, why? There's no point.
We should do a false count anywhere on what makes good storytelling.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in the back of my head. But, yeah, they didn't do any work. I mean, they basically cut one promo 2 weeks prior about how him and Hook are best buddies.
Yeah, and that was pretty much it.
And, Hook came down to the ring with him a couple of times. I think he came down with Hook once. And now they're trying to build heat on this. I just hope it dies before All In. That's really all that I can say, because this is not worthy of All In.
And the one last thing was, also at Forbidden Door, Adam Cole wasn't able to have his match because he was sick.
Right.
Apparently he passed that on to his girlfriend, Britt Baker, because her match with Ruby Soho for the Owen Hart tournament didn't happen this week. That'll be next week. But, other than that, those were the takeaways. That was maybe a 2.5, 3 episode. It was all right.
Kind of coming off the
not as
little hungover from Forbidden Door.
Not
maybe.
really following up hot with Forbidden Door.
Let's take a look at news and rumors really quick, because there's not a whole heck of a lot going off. We're kind of in between setting up for Money in the Bank after Forbidden Door, but there are a couple of things to note. Let's do some ratings first here. So I'll try and go in order. SmackDown 623, 2.354 million. About the average, about where they've been averaging. That was Friday. Friday as well, Rampage, 391,000, which is actually pretty good for them, but it still is very bad. They cannot seem to get a hold of that Friday night. I mean, you're going up against SmackDown, which is...
No, they're after SmackDown. They're at 10 o'clock.
They are, but you're still... After 2 hours of wrestling, do you want to watch more wrestling? Is really the question, especially to switch networks and all that stuff. So 391K. Saturday night, second episode of Collision, 595,000.
About 250 drop. 250,000.
Yeah, I think 600 is kind of where I would guess they would settle.
Yeah. But I think the demo rating, TNT's pretty happy with.
Yes, the demo rating was great.
So 0.21 or something?
0.21, yeah, whereas I think normally they're somewhere in the 0.1, 0.11 range. So very good in the demo. So good for advertising. Monday Night Raw, 1.973 million. Getting close to that, too.
That's their highest in a long time.
Yeah, usually they're 1.8 or so. I think they have been above 2 only like once. So very, very good for them. Big setup. NXT Tuesday, 622,000, which means NXT is outperforming Collision. On so far. We'll see what happens. And then Dynamite, 809,000. So definitely,
drop over last week.
Yeah, they were around 900. So definitely a drop.
You know what
there.
that means? Get ready to take a shot. CM Punk draws ratings.
Yeah, we'll see. Collision's still at 600K. So I would say if Collision can't get above NXT, I mean, that's a really bad sign.
Yeah.
Hey, move it to Tuesday night and let's see what happens. I mean, remember, the proposals that we have been reading up to this point are all saying take NXT, drop it to an hour, move it online. Right. And that's at 622. What do you do if your Saturday night show stuck at 600? Kind of the same thing. They need to get rid of Rampage because it's performing like garbage.
Right.
I think the only reason why it's surviving is because the other two are doing quite well. But there just isn't any carryover. There just is zero carryover between the shows. Your WWE hatred only gets you so far.
Right.
In other news, Adam, This one's for you. Sergeant Slaughter still going after Lacey Evans.
Hey, he owns the rights.
Says he doesn't watch SmackDown because Lacey Evans is on it.
She's on it losing.
Yeah.
Well, which probably makes, next to me, him the most passionate Lacey Evans fan. I'm going to read the quote here. Quote, I don't watch WWE as much as I did. I watch Raw because SmackDown has Lacey on it. It doesn't upset me because I know she can't put a Cobra Clutch on like I do. It's just because of the thought that she's using the move without at least, I would think the writers or somebody would call me up and say, you mind if we use the Cobra Clutch? Or maybe call it something else, because DiBiase did that when I was gone with G.I. Joe, and he used it as the $1 Million Dream. She would have maybe come up with another name, but just to call it the Cobra Clutch, I had to end up using the Camel Clutch when I did back in the 90s, because DiBiase was using my hold, and Sheik said it was okay. So that's the way the business was. You respect your talent, you respect the people that you worked with. Point taken, but Lacey Evans did not work with you, Sergeant Slaughter, so rule doesn't apply.
That's what we were talking about when this all first started, that the respect thing is to ask, or at least give them a heads up, hey, they want me to use your move, are you cool with this?
There's an unspoken rule in the locker room of major respect, all the way from just showing up at the place. Tradition is when you show up to an arena, it doesn't matter if you saw the people the night before. You walk up to every wrestler. There's a special handshake. You say hi.
God, that must take forever.
And when everybody leaves, you do the same thing. So, and using other people's moves and stuff falls into that line. You always want to ask permission. But when we talked about this a couple weeks ago, we weren't sure on the rights of the Sergeant Slaughter character, and I looked it up and I sent it in our private chat. Sergeant Slaughter, his real name is Bob Remus, and since 1974 he owns the copyright, trademark, and character of Sergeant Slaughter.
Does that include the Cobra Clutch?
Probably the name Cobra Clutch.
Well, then they're in violation. He should sue them.
Yeah,
because she's been calling it the Cobra Clutch.
He owns all the character rights to Sergeant Slaughter. So his bitch about her, if she's doing the chin, if she's wearing the hat and doing a legit rip-off gimmick of Sergeant Slaughter, he's got a bitch. As far as doing the moves, maybe not so. Calling it the Camel Clutch, you're probably or the Cobra Clutch, you're probably getting into shaky waters there. But again, Ted DiBiase asked him if he could use it, and they renamed it the $1 Million Dream. Mm-hmm. When he was doing his turncoat gimmick, he was calling it the Camel Clutch, because he was an Iraqi heel at the time. But he does own everything to do with Sergeant Slaughter. So if they're not asking his permission and he's not giving his go-ahead, he might have some ground to stand on.
I think the publicity he's getting off of this is worth more than the $10,000 he would make off of threatening a lawsuit to them.
But again,
because he's relevant again. He's had more interviews in the last month than he's had the previous year.
Yeah, and the thing is
it's like covering a band's song. It makes the band more popular. Why would you ever deny that to somebody? You know what I mean? If her coming back reinvigorates people's enthusiasm for Sergeant Slaughter, and he starts selling more action figures.
Again, it's with him being old school, it's probably a principle thing.
Yeah,
she never came in. She never came and talked to him about it.
Yeah.
Bottom line. And again, when it's especially with those guys from those eras, they own. That's their life. Sergeant Slaughter is his life. That's his livelihood. That's his everything. Just like Hulk Hogan. It's his everything. Roddy Piper was his everything. They own their characters, and they put all their stock into those characters. And sorry, guys, it's just the way it is.
You agree that it's the same way with music? That if the Eagles don't want you to cover their songs, then you're not allowed to cover their music?
Yeah, it's their bread and butter. It's their, they put the time in, they wrote it. So unless you're either going to pay me substantially to cover it or you're not going to cover it.
Oh, no, oftentimes they don't even make that offer. They just pull it down.
Yeah. So
It's not even a discussion. They just say, yeah, we're pulling it down.
yeah.
Okay.
You know, I mean, and then again, it comes to, you know, it also comes down to making profit too. You know, I mean, when it comes to music, I mean, yeah, a cover band can go into a bar and play an Eagles song, but if they record it and they put it on a CD or a MP3 or whatever and try to, sell it for a couple bucks, that's a problem.
Yeah, and I guess
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I guess the problem that I have is when there is no monetization.
Right.
And we've gotten dinged for that before on this show and on False Count Anywhere, where stuff gets pulled down even though there's no monetization
but
associated
again,
with it.
having owned a business, I had Monster Energy come after my business because there was Monster in the name of my business. You got to protect your trademark or you lose it. So, I mean, Sergeant Slaughter, seeing his trademark being infringed on, he's got to at least say something. It's still a trademark, even though it's his character. He's trademarked it. He owns it. He's got to protect it.
The fact that they are continuing with the gimmick with her tells me that there's something going on there. Either Slaughter's just kayfabing, it's all a work,
It could be.
or WWE actually owns the camel clutch, and the lawyers are convinced that there isn't enough copyright infringement there for him to actually do anything.
But I mean, but again, this just all goes back to why he was fired back in the late '80s.
Well, yeah, he didn't want to give it up.
Well, no, he had nothing to do with giving it up. Is that Vince went behind his back and was going to release a Sergeant Slaughter action figure,
Right.
and it was a conflict of interest with G.I. Joe.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't want to give up
Yeah.
his.
G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so moving on. One interesting factoid. So the entire week of All Out, which is the week after All In, AEW.
All in at Wembley in London.
Right, All In at Wembley in London. The following week, AEW is spending the entire week in Chicago. Dynamite,
Rampage,
Collision, Rampage, and All Out.
What do you think
premium
their
live
hotel bills are going to be like?
event. Free.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be free.
Unless your name's Kenny Omega, then you're going to play double.
I mean, I guess the real question becomes market saturation, which we've had, a couple conversations about, but this is more like, is this the only place that they can get away with that? Chicago's a large city. Obviously, it's CM Punk territory.
Now with the new rules that WWE put out about not being able to go to a certain arena that they've been to within a certain amount of time, or promoting a certain arena that they've been to in a certain amount of time, maybe they are.
That is
getting
interesting
stuck.
how they're able to leverage that kind of exclusivity.
Yeah. So maybe Chicago, they can only go there because they were just there a week ago.
I wonder if that counts as some kind of like monopolization, like trust. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you control the market enough that you can tell your competitor when and where they can and can't compete effectively.
It's interesting.
That's an interesting idea. I guess if the towns are large enough that there's multiple venues, maybe you don't have that argument because they can just go to a different venue.
Right.
But in small towns on a small circuit, maybe you couldn't get away with that.
Are we going to see another, are we ever going to see a WCW invasion angle nowadays with AEW and WWE?
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, WWE refuses to even acknowledge that there's a world outside of their universe. So you would never.
Yeah, unless they do like what WCW and push them into a corner where they had to start acknowledging them because they were kicking their ass in ratings and whatever.
Well, and when
Yeah.
you carry a WWF title into the WCW and
And
drop it in a
in
garbage
trash.
can.
Yeah.
Go back and check out Falls Count Anywhere when we talked about women's wrestling to know what that's all about.
Yeah, that was 2 episodes ago.
Yep.
Yeah, anyways, I thought it was interesting. I mean, I have to imagine that you're going to see serious ticket problems. We can both attest, having bought tickets to the Albany show here at the end of July.
They might be doing a lot of combo packages. Get tickets to all 4 shows for the price of 2 or something.
And there's been a lot of that, right? There's been a lot of get 4 tickets and dinner for the
Yep.
cost of, $20 a ticket, just trying to sling stuff.
Yeah, speaking of which, this episode of Dynamite was in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, which is the town that Collision this week for still, I think, have sold under 1,000 tickets.
That's
So,
right.
I
Yep.
mean, the crowd looked pretty decent on Dynamite.
Yeah, it was
this
like
week.
800 something, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, how do you even make that look good? I mean, that's not even enough people to.
We'll find out tomorrow.
You put everybody on one side and one side only.
And
Yeah.
don't move the camera.
Don't
Yeah,
move
don't
the
move the camera.
Yeah, it's gonna be like it's gonna be the easiest produced wrestling show since the 1980s.
Yeah.
This is a throwback to 50s wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, guys, you're only allowed to face this side of the ring at all times. Last interesting piece of news, which is going to take us into our first big topic: Bryan Danielson's broken arm. We're gonna show a picture of it on the screen here so that everybody can get a good shot of it.
Yeah,
But
the X-ray.
we've seen it, but I thought you might like to have a look at
I
it.
saw this online. Yeah.
You saw
yeah.
it. Pretty
And who
nasty.
says wrestling's fake?
Pretty nasty. And the quote here from Bree is, "Not sure to be proud or chastise him for wrestling. 10 more minutes with this break. Definitely worse than we thought."
Yeah.
Man, adrenaline is a real thing.
Yeah. It
and
is.
it seemed like every chance he got, Okada was grabbing that arm. Like, whether he knew it was broken or not, he kept grabbing that arm to pick
Well,
Daniel up, to
and-
Yeah.
whip him. And
Well, it's
It's the
the
left.
left arm. You
And
always
everybody
wo-
knows in the business, what do you do?
You work the left.
You work the left. You work
Exactly.
the left. You sell the left.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is just a nasty piece of bad luck.
But hey, listen. You know, this past Wednesday was the 25-year anniversary of Mick Foley's Hell in a Cell. So, hey, working broken.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
it's part of the business.
That break
Yeah.
is nasty. You're going to have pins. You're going to have, I mean, he's going to be,
He's gonna be out for a while.
yeah, he was hoping just 6 to 8 weeks. He said in the media scrum afterwards. But now that they actually see what it is, yeah,
He's gonna be out for a long time. He's gonna be wrestling with a cast even longer.
he's probably gonna
July,
miss.
August,
He's definitely gonna miss
September.
Wembley.
Yeah.
He's less than 12 weeks
Yeah.
from Wembley. No, he's not going to be at Wembley, which sucks because they just dropped the value of a wrestler's contract to get the final countdown. Obviously, there's some controversy over whether it's. Like, I thought it was in perpetuity. Apparently, you heard it was just for All In.
Not all in. Forbidden Door.
Sorry, Forbidden Door. But obviously, if it's in perpetuity, okay, fine. I would think for the cost of a wrestler's contract, it would be in perpetuity. But
That song is so cool.
I can't imagine paying six figures to use a song once or twice. But, and you could do so many cool things with his entrance. It could be so cool. Anyways, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you're going in Forbidden Door.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
All right. So before we do that, let's just mention real quick. Falls Count Anywhere this past week dropped a day late because
Yes.
WWE dinged us on a GIF we used.
Assholes.
But the episode was on high spots and some of the popular wrestling moves that we enjoy. And yeah, I thought that was a pretty good episode. This week might be a good one too.
What are we doing?
So we did the episode on the history of women's wrestling a couple weeks ago, and I enjoyed that so much I decided to do another history episode, this time on Lucha Libre.
Oh, cool. All right. You're going to do it totally in Spanish, right?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. So, El Tuno Ino,
Wow, that is racist.
El Pipolo, and Checo Uso Auto were male, so it's okay to use the masculine.
Okay.
All right, Forbidden Door. You and I watched this together. We did not do a live stream.
Nope.
Instead of doing, because there's a lot of people in there that a lot of our fans aren't going to know, let's just do some of the big takeaways. What would you say is the first big takeaway from the show?
CM Punk, Kenny Omega, separate hotels.
I mean,
They reportedly they were kept on the opposite sides of the building. Yeah.
I wonder who got the visitors' locker room.
I mean, not to just like, how long do you think they can sustain this?
Forever.
I mean,
Money talks
yeah.
louder than the AAU and in a different language.
I don't know. That just screams broken locker room. I just ununited, just shambles.
Yeah,
shit
they're
show.
leaving money on the table, not facing
Yeah.
each other in the ring.
Yeah, but listen, when you're not working any story in front of the camera, and when the rule is say what you're going to say, there's no Sunny Days reference that's going to get anybody in trouble here. Like, you're already allowed to go there. We're talking about how MJF's girlfriend left him.
Yep. It's true.
Britt Baker is making T-shirts out of her black eye. Like,
Right.
there's no, like, kayfabe is officially broken. It's gone. Like, it's officially, it's dead, buried, and forgotten.
I'm not even talking about it. I'm just saying just the toxic locker room.
That's what I'm saying. It's not it's two different locker rooms. That's why they made Collision. That's why you have a visitor's locker room.
It'll go back
And
to
a home.
the old kayfabe days of the babyface locker room and the heel locker room.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it'll be. So.
And then eventually someone will walk into the wrong locker room and...
Oh, I'm sure it'll be an accident. They don't even have them come in the same entrance in AEW. There's a heel side and a face side.
Yeah.
They don't even have to walk down the same hallway. Are there two dusty positions?
No. The entrances are right there. It's just
Okay.
you're
You
way
go in
off.
that tunnel,
You
you
got to
go in
watch
that tunnel.
AEW All Access.
Well, yeah, there was a funny scene. The Jungle Boy turn happened at Forbidden Door, and when he walked up, there was like a big...
Oh yeah.
Why is he
CM Punk
coming
made
out of
tease,
that
too.
tunnel?
That's right.
What's going on here? Which door am I going to go out?
So there were some matches on the pre-show. They were all right. What'd you think about the show starting with MJF, Tanahashi, AEW Championship?
You know, what can you do with Tanahashi? You're not going to get a high-flying, high-risk. You know, he's essentially the Sting of Japan.
Yep.
Beloved. I think we all knew MJF was going to go over. That is why they picked Tanahashi, because they knew he could lose. We talked about that last week as well. I mean, MJF did what he does best. I mean, I think he knew the match itself could not be particularly interesting because Tanahashi had a limited gas tank. He had limited physical capabilities. He had, a limit to the number of bumps he could take. So there was a lot of funny taunting and back and forth between the two of them. And so, I mean, I thought he made the best of the situation. He got 15 minutes out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a pretty good match. Was it the second best match of the night? No. But I think it was the best match they could do given the circumstance, and it wasn't a bad match. It wasn't the worst match of the night by any means.
Yeah. The next match, probably saw one of the biggest highlights of the evening when Kojima dropped a flying elbow onto CM Punk's dick.
Yeah, that was.
That was rough.
You gotta love it when you don't have to sell. When you can really take the acting out of it. Yeah, it was a long jump. He had to jump long ways. And yeah, he came right down.
A little miscalculation.
Right on
his head.
Yeah, right on his straight edge society. And
so, all the matches overall were fairly decent. Next one that really jumps out to me though is the IWGP US title, Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay.
Everyone was hailing that
Yeah.
as the match of the year.
Yeah. It's a match of the year contender. You and I did not really think so.
40 minutes long.
That was a drag.
30 minutes of it was very good. They both got color in the right spots. I think they both did it the hard way.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Kenny. It's a tough call, but they both made it look real enough that we couldn't tell. Very technically sound. These guys have worked together a lot. You can tell. It looked great. It was exciting. It was dramatic. Which kick out pulled you? There was a kick
There were
out.
several. After the 30-minute mark, I think they were both kicking out at one.
They were and they started with the no selling. They started with the kickouts after like a triple finisher in a row.
That's what it was. Ospreay hit Omega's move, the one-winged angel, which no one has ever kicked out of. And Omega kicked out at one because it's his move.
Hey.
And that's when they started getting go away. I think I turned to you and said, "All right, I'm done. I'm out. This match is over for me."
Yep.
And I gave it a 3. I said it was a 5 for the first 30 minutes, and it was a 1 for the last 15.
Yep.
I thought it was 45 minutes, but it really started to drag after 30 minutes. Everyone was going on and on and on about how outstanding and amazing it was. I think it was a very good match. Probably the match of the night, but it was not match of the year.
Yeah.
Not at all.
And then seeing how things ended up, it probably wasn't great for Danielson Okada to be the main event with how that ended.
Right.
The ending, obviously Brian broke his arm. He wrestled the last 10 minutes with the broken arm, but the ending really kind of came out of nowhere and was just kind of lackluster. So, in hindsight, probably the Will Ospreay Omega match should have been the main event, I think.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, probably because, why you would have all these titles on the line and then have just a singles match be your main event.
Right.
I'm not sure. I guess Okada's the hot thing, and so maybe
He has been for a long time.
Maybe it was for New Japan, and that's kind of one of the critical things of New Japan is they've got their 4 or 5 favorite guys, and that's who does all the work for like a decade.
Yeah.
So you can see it's,
You had
it's
Kojima, you had Suzuki,
Tanahashi, guys like that carrying for 10 years, and now they're starting to pass the torch, and so now it's going to be.
I think all of them.
Those guys
Ishii, he
for
was
10
in
days.
he was in a match with the Elite and the Bullet Club, or not Bullet Club, Blackpool Combat Club.
Yes.
They've all those guys have had 20-year careers.
Yeah. So they're going to. So overall, I mean, I think it was a good show. It dragged. I think they could have cut a couple of matches off of it.
Yeah, they didn't need the Jungle Boy match.
Yeah, they didn't need any of that. They should have just sent him on a Charlotte-esque vacation.
Yeah, that match I think was just to set up the turn afterwards.
It was, and I think I turned to you when he heel turned, and I went, well, at least we're going to get some good wrestling out of it, because Hook and Jungle Boy are great. It'll be good to see the little guys getting a little attention, guys that weigh under 180 pounds, getting some attention. But, so that I have to like, but yeah, the character development. I mean, again, at least they're trying, but they're doing such a bad job. Like, again, MJF is going over amazing, and he's the only guy that gets any heat or has any real story associated to any of his work. Think about what he did with CM Punk a year ago. Right?
Yeah.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled. It's like,
Lay down, Sammy. You got a kid. Do the right thing.
it's the best. He can inject story into anything.
How much of that is the story, and how much of that is MJF?
I think the little stuff, like lay down, Sammy, do the right thing, I think that's MJF. But, I mean, you have to work together as a team to put together something like he did with CM Punk, over the span of multiple pay-per-views, multiple months. It takes time and effort and energy and intent, which you don't get when you see. They're starting to come around a little bit. You got, Christian and Luchasaurus doing a little, not really a stable thing, but kind of a little thing going on. But as far as most of the big matches that you see, it's like, well, why do I hate you? I don't know. You kicked me in the shins last week or something, So they need more of that.
Yeah.
Anyways, looking forward. The next pay-per-view is All In, right? For AEW?
Yeah, Wembley.
Yeah, so they're going to Wembley next. So we've got plenty of time to build up. Maybe we can get some real story
They're
going.
they're going to have, in between that time, they'll have TV specials. They're going to do Blood and Guts in July.
Yep.
And they might do another Battle of the Belts in that time, too. I'm not sure. But
Blood and Guts is one of those ones where you really don't need a lot of story, though. It's, the spectacle is the story. So, yeah, we'll see. Maybe they can just work Blood and Guts into it, maybe drive the intensity up a little bit and get some of that.
apparently that's going to be the blow-off for the Elite versus Blackpool.
Oh. Well,
They did just announce it last night.
They all like getting color, so that should go off really well. All right. So before we get into Money in the Bank, let's talk about our new championship. So the team will agree on a regular basis, roughly once a month, because that's kind of when the big pay-per-views come, on a prediction contest. The least correct guesses on match outcomes on the agreed premium live event will be named our champion. So this is a best of the worst, as it were. If in the event of a tie, like I think you and Dan had the last time we did a prediction, right? I think there was a tie between the two pay-per-views between you guys. Everyone's going to guess the number of pinfalls on the main event.
Okay.
Price is Right rules. Closest to without going over.
Okay.
Okay. So in addition to this,
pinfall attempts.
Exactly,
near
pinfall
falls.
attempts.
Gotcha.
So in addition to this, we're also going to have to guess the number of pinfalls when we do our Money in the Bank predictions.
All right. We need to know what the main event is.
Well, that's why I'm saying like sometimes, or there's multiple main events, we'll just pick.
Gotcha.
We as a group will pick whichever one we want. I mean, honestly, it could be either one. It really doesn't matter.
You still think the ladder matches are going to be the main event?
I think it's going to be Bloodline.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I think.
And now that I've seen what I think is the whole card, it should be Money in the Bank, but whatever.
Listen, Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble was the first match.
Yeah. The top performer will earn bragging rights, and the loser will be crowned
Wait. Before you do that, what title do you want put under your name for Dan? Are you the executive producer of Wrestling with the Business? Hall of Famer Wrestling with the Business. I want to get this right. I don't want to piss Dan off.
Jenny's husband. We can do that too.
Yeah.
Oh, ouch, that's painful.
So, just so we know what
I
title
think I would like WWB Hall of Famer.
There you go.
Or
Alright.
future Hall of Famer, maybe. Because I don't want to. I'm not ready to end my career just yet.
WWB Hall of Shamer. Let's do it.
Ooh, Hall of Shamer. That's a good one. All right, so the winner will get bragging rights, and the loser will be crowned the inaugural
Oh, Jesus.
Divas Champion. Our WWB Divas Champion. So the rules. So our Divas Champion will be honored, emphasis on honored, to wear the belt on all shows between premium live events, and will be referred to as our Divas Champion during their reign. Each time you hold the belt, you are allowed to make a change. We prefer that you add something to it, not take something away.
It even comes with extra bedazzles.
Yes,
here.
we need to make sure. So I made sure that they included additional bedazzles in case there are some accidents. We don't want to have any holes in our illustrious ornament. The illustrious ornament. I like that. I think we're going to start using it. That's how we'll refer to it, the illustrious ornament. And I'm even considering maybe including some entrance music for a special entrance each time.
Nice.
So.
And it will not be the final countdown.
we cannot
afford that.
Yeah, so I just thought, predictions are fun, but it'd be nice if we had a little consequence, add a little weight to it. And the easiest way, as I've always said, to add some consequence is to throw a belt on there. So, any thoughts, Adam?
I dig it.
All right.
I think it's going to be fun.
Okay, good. Are you looking forward to wearing it?
I'm looking forward to being the five-time.
Nice.
So you've got them. Whoever is our inaugural champion is going to have a month to make whatever changes, additions. You can, again, I prefer you add stuff to it, but let's make it our own. I hope that in a year or two, this belt looks the same but different than it does now. If that makes any sense to anybody here.
Cool. This will be fun.
Now, are you sure about your predictions?
So since how I think this is a really great transition into our Money in the Bank predictions. Matt, since how it looks like you've pretty much done all your predictions, why don't you run through your predictions and then we will
just do my predictions, or do you want to go match by match?
Well, yeah. Let's go match by match. Go ahead. Why don't you go through them and we'll talk
So
about it.
the first one is being dubbed the Bloodline Civil War. Got Bloodline of Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa versus the Usos. Who you got, boys?
Usos.
Jared's going Usos. And
I want to say Usos, but I'm thinking Bloodline. I don't think they take a chance making Roman Reigns look weak.
Okay.
Normally, I'd argue against you, but I want you to be wrong. So. Normally, I try to convince you, but now I don't want to.
This is just so
listen,
you know.
that pink is going to make your eyes pop, man. I can't.
My daughter is going to think I'm so cool if I win that belt. That's all. If I get to take that home,
Yeah.
she's going to think that I'm the coolest person ever.
All right, I am also going with the Usos on that one. Next is the WWE World Championship. Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor.
I think Rollins goes.
Rollins.
Yeah, I think Rollins holds it.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
too early for him to drop.
Too early.
We're
Yeah.
Rollins across the board. We forgot to mention, Dan's not here. We don't have his picks, but
And if
he
he do-
is in the running for this belt. So
Yeah, and
if he doesn't send us
submit
our
the
picks,
automatic champ.
He has until Saturday at noon. We will hound him or not, like the friends that we are.
that's right. Pay-per-view's in the afternoon, isn't it? Because they're
it's
in
at
London.
3:00. Yep,
Forgot.
they're in
All
London.
right. All right, Intercontinental Championship. Gunther versus Matt Riddle.
Gunther.
Yeah,
I'm going Gunther.
I don't see him dropping it to Riddle.
They're
It'll be
pushing
Gunther.
him too strong.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I don't even know why you're bothering with that.
I don't know why I'm bothering with the next one either. Women's Tag Team Championship. Rousey and Baszler versus Liv Rod.
Yeah, they're gonna hold.
Rousey.
Yeah.
They're gonna hold.
All right. Well, so far it looks like the Bloodline's going to win you the belt. All right. Now the only other matches announced have been the Money in the Bank ladder matches.
No, we got Cody and Dominic.
Oh, I skipped that one. Sorry. Cody and Dominic. Yep. No, nothing on the line. Just
Cody.
Yep. Cody. Cody across the board.
Making him look strong.
All right. Men's Money in the Bank. You got Damian Priest versus Butch versus Ricochet versus LA Knight, Shinsuke Nakamura, Santos Escobar, and Logan Paul.
Man, this is so hard.
I know.
You know what? If Logan Paul wasn't in it, I would say it's Damian Priest.
See, I would say it's LA Knight, but because Logan Paul is in it.
You know what?
This is going to be such an indicator of who's in control of WWE.
Yeah.
If Logan Paul wins, there's no question I will not humor any argument that Vince McMahon is not still pulling the reins. But if anybody else wins, I'm going to tip my hat to Triple H and just be like, maybe he is actually the head of creative. Maybe Vince is
The only thing I could think of them doing with Logan Paul is setting up a big SummerSlam match between him and whoever he gets into it with.
Maybe you could
This
do...
match.
But does he win the belt after that?
No. What I'm saying is, like, during this match, like something happens where you could see a feud building between him and someone else.
He doesn't win the briefcase,
while someone else wins,
Gotcha.
he's off with this other guy building.
Can hope.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on. Let's just, again, please ignore me. Don't pay any attention to what I'm doing. I'm just talking for the fans.
He's making his case to win this belt right now.
You have Damian Priest heel, Butch face, Ricochet face, LA Knight heel, Nakamura face, Escobar face, Logan Paul basically a face.
No. Really?
I mean, they
He's a
tried
heel.
to do a little heel thing at WrestleMania, but it didn't.
He's not a face. He gets booed. He gets booed all the time.
Even if you call him heel, if you're gonna have, who of these people could he possibly have a good match with at SummerSlam?
Well, I'm seeing Priest winning in LA Knight and Logan Paul at SummerSlam.
How would this match set that up? How could
It would have to depend how they work in the ring during the match.
Logan Paul prevents LA Knight from
Yeah,
climbing the ladder or something.
Yeah,
Okay.
they
See, I see it being the other way around. I see it being like Damian Priest screws up Logan Paul, and it's Logan Paul, Damian Priest.
Give Damian
SummerSlam.
Priest another celebrity match.
Exactly, and he works well with celebrities with a great track record on that. So I think LA Knight goes over.
But we're
mark
don't forget that we're also
Mark it. Okay.
we're also
And I desperately want LA Knight to go over.
yeah no but
Maybe I'm reasoning my way to my emotion. Maybe that's what this is.
remember we're also seeing cracks in the Judgment Day. What better way to open that crack if Finn Balor loses? Now Damian Priest has a title shot.
I hear what you're saying. I don't think it's as strong, and I think Damian Priest is kind of the father of the Judgment Day. I mean, I see him as the leadership figure. It's not nearly as clear as it is with like the Bloodline or something like that. But when you think, if you were to close your eyes and picture who's the leader of the Judgment Day, you have to picture
Rhea Ripley.
Who's the daddy? Who's the mammy?
Rhea Ripley.
Who's the mammy? So yeah, I'm going with LA Knight because I think this could be a really good setup for a Logan Paul Damian Priest at SummerSlam, which would be good.
I didn't have nearly the amount of reasoning you did. I just said I hope LA Knight wins, so I have him too.
Gotta love emotion, but I mean Logan Paul. I mean, if you don't think Logan Paul is gonna win,
Honestly,
likely.
I gotta go Logan Paul just because they spent all the money on him.
That might win it for you.
and if he won Money in the Bank, this could set. Now it's if Logan Paul wins, it's not going to be a mid-title. He's not going for the U.S. Championship.
I don't think anyone in this is going for a smaller championship.
LA Knight.
I think
LA
LA Knight would go
You
for the
think
world
so?
title.
LA Knight versus Austin Theory for the U.S. Championship.
No, I think he'd go for the world.
But just the concept.
lose.
I think Damian Priest would too.
But still,
I'm not saying
just
they'd
the
win.
concept of Money in the Bank. Why the hell would you go after the Intercontinental title when you get the World Heavyweight?
Right. But that's what they've been doing.
It all has to do with timing and stuff, and like whether you actually think you could win. I mean, he could go for the world title. He could take it from Seth Rollins. He's not taking Roman Reigns' title.
No.
I don't care if it come out at the end of three matches.
No,
he could do a gauntlet
I
match.
think we can all agree that
None of these guys are going to go for Roman.
The finish of Roman Reigns is going to come down between him and Cody. However, they get back there.
Yeah.
That's just you see the writing for the last 2 years.
Right. All right, so last is the women's Money in the Bank. Io Sky versus Bailey, both on the same team. Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark, both on the same team. Zelina Vega and Becky Lynch. So,
Man.
yeah.
For me, it's between Becky Lynch and Zelina Vega.
Really?
I think that there's plenty of story here. You could have Trish and Zoe Stark, a mistake, boom, we split. Not very valuable because they're a new team. Io Sky and Bailey, you could see the destruction of
Damage control.
damage control. I think very easily they've been showing some cracks the last couple of months, so I think for sure that stable's going to go away, especially with Dakota being out injured.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, if these two are screwing each other up and these two are screwing each other up, you're down to Vega and Becky Lynch. Who deserves it more? Zelina Vega, in my opinion. Becky can put butts in her seats without it. And Becky really doesn't need the Money in the Bank to win the championship. It's more like a shortcut for her. She's held it before.
I think Zoe Stark is going to try and help Trish win the briefcase. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I think Io Sky is getting it. That's
I mean,
my
I
pick.
would love to see Io Sky again. That would be great.
I think there's going to be some,
just-
like you said, dissension between her and Bailey. Damage control is going to break up, but Io is going to get the briefcase.
Seeing how the interaction between Trish, Becky, and Stark have been over the last couple weeks, I see Trish screwing Becky out of her shot of getting the
Right.
case, and Zoe Stark getting it, setting up a grudge match between Trish and Becky Lynch for
That's
SummerSlam.
a hell of a push for Zoe Stark to go from NXT.
I was thinking the same thing, but because of all them three being involved, none of them would get it. But
I think so. I'm gonna go Zoe Stark.
Whoa,
Stark,
that
wow.
is a pick.
With a grudge match between a final grudge match between Becky and Trish at SummerSlam.
Nice.
We're all going to be wrong. Bailey's going to get it.
Yeah, and you picked Zelina.
I would,
And
I
I
would love to
picked-
see Bailey get it.
I
love Bailey.
Didn't she already have it once?
Yeah, but I mean,
so.
she's just not getting the attention that she was a year or two ago. So
Gotta make a pick. That belt's on the line. It's calling your name. Make the right one.
Man, this is hard. We picked a really. I picked a really.
Yeah, you wanted to debut this belt.
A
Now-
really.
now
I know.
you got to take
I
it.
wanted to do it last time, which would have been fine for me. Yeah, Zelina Vega.
Zelina Vega. There it is.
With all the confidence of me.
All right.
All right, now we need to pick a match for the falls. Obviously, Bloodline versus Usos is kind of the. Should we do pinfalls?
Yeah, I assume that's going to be
On
the
that
main
one,
event.
should be easier than guessing super kicks. How many super kicks?
We're talking
Which I was dead on. Tell
were.
the people
Yep.
at Forbidden Door.
Forbidden Door. You're over under for super kicks for the match that the Young Bucks were in was 10.
And it was
Yep.
10. Exactly.
Yep, you were
All right,
dead
so
on.
Bloodline Usos. I'm going to guess. I don't think there's going to be a lot of pinfalls.
Near falls.
Yeah, near falls. I don't think there's going to be a lot of near falls. And Roman definitely won't take the pin if they lose. So,
Sorry, go ahead.
say what you got to say.
I was just thinking, I think there will be. I think the Usos are going to kick out of everything, and Roman is going to start getting pissed off until Solo steps in and puts them down with the spike. I think there's going to be a good number. I'd say,
Wait a minute. Don't you have the Usos going over?
you're right, I do. Forget what I just said. Usos all the way, baby. Come on.
he's blinded by this belt.
I want it so bad.
It's a
I think there's still going to be a lot of kickouts, though.
it's a tag match, so I'm going to double the number I would normally say, and so I'm going to go with an odd number 7.
7.
Normally I'd
Okay.
pick 3 or 4. I'm going to go with 7.
I'm gonna go 6. Just because
6?
I have no fucking idea. I'm just gonna pick a number. So,
Well, closest
Can I do-
to without going over.
Can I do
No,
6.5?
no,
so
I-
you're
I-
boxing me in.
no, yeah, because honestly, you're probably gonna have a couple quick attempts, and then at the end you're gonna have a flurry of them. So I'm gonna say about 6.
I'm gonna go 5. What the heck? There it is.
All right, so we'll have to nag Dan. But there it is, the inaugural WWB Divas Championship.
I say we don't nag Dan, and we just
Yeah, let
next
him
week
wear
we're
the
like,
belt.
hey buddy, guess what you get to do for the
Let
next
this
month?
be the warning. You have until noon on Saturday to get your picks to the professor here, and if not, then I guess we can all breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, we all win.
And maybe even before the pay-per-view starts, we can award the championship to Dan. That's
we
one
go.
idea right there. Well,
I think we need to post this chart of our results here on our social medias so
Yes.
everybody gets to join in.
accountability is a real thing.
Yep.
So we will be sure to have those up on our Facebook page. Speaking of which, that's all we have time for this time. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell. Please give us your predictions in the comments below. What's going to happen in Money in the Bank? Are you sending your thoughts and prayers to Bryan Danielson? What do you think about the heel turn for Jungle Boy? Ugh. Please be sure to check out our other show, Falls Count Anywhere, which drops every Monday on Insane Games TV, on the YouTube channel, and Twitch. Follow us on Twitter at WrestleWithTheBiz and Facebook at Wrestling with the Business if you want to review our predictions. And, of course, we have a few other things always going on in the works, so please check it out there. And if you keep watching, we'll keep wrestling with the business.